Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, January 26th. Coming to you live from Seoul, I'm Kim Mo-kyeon. Before we get started, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. Statistics website Worldometer says the global COVID-19 tally has surpassed 100 million, meaning the virus has infected around 1.3% of the world's population. American pharmaceutical company Moderna says its vaccine created antibodies that neutralize COVID-19 variants first found in the UK and South Africa, but added there may be somewhat decreased efficacy against the South African strain. And South Korea's central bank says the performance of the nation's economy was the worst in over 2 decades last year, but it appears to have gotten back on a growth track on the back of a mild recovery in exports. We begin with the COVID-19 situation here in South Korea. The country reported 354 new cases Tuesday, continuing to linger between the 300 and 500 cases a day. Authorities remain on high alert after more than 130 infections that were linked to a missionary training school in Daejeon City have been confirmed. Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun called for stern virus prevention efforts at similar schools to prevent further spread. Of the new cases on Tuesday, 338 were locally transmitted and 16 were from overseas. There were 11 more deaths, bringing the death toll to 1,371. South Korea's total number of cases now nears the 76,000 mark. Global cases of COVID-19 have now surpassed 100 million, a little over a year since the first case has been confirmed. However, on a brighter note, the outbreak seems to be slowing in many countries that were hotspots like the UK and Japan. Our Kim Hyo-sun reports.
The global COVID-19 tally has surpassed 100 million, meaning the virus has infected around 1.3% of the world's population. According to Worldometer, a website that provides real-time statistics for the pandemic, global cases topped 100 million, while the accumulated global death toll stood at over 2.1 million as of Tuesday morning, Korea time. It took just 16 days for the overall caseload to jump from 90 million to 100 million. Despite the grim milestone, many countries are witnessing a drop in new cases. Britain, for example, reported over 22,000 new daily infections on Monday, its lowest number in several weeks.
Thankfully, there are early signs that the actions that we're taking are working. The rise in the number of cases is slowing and falling in some parts of the country, like London and Scotland. At the same time, the number of vaccinations is going up.
UK health authorities say lockdown rules will be reviewed in mid-February, the target date for the top priority groups to receive their first vaccine dose. At the same time, however, they also stressed that the pandemic continues to put immense strain on the nation's healthcare system. In Asia, Japan also reported a drop in daily infections on Monday to the 2,000 range for the first time since late December 2020. The downtrend comes more than 2 weeks into a COVID-19 state of emergency was issued in Tokyo and its surrounding prefectures. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
American pharmaceutical company Moderna says its vaccine creates antibodies that neutralize COVID-19 variants first found in the UK and South Africa, but it admits its efficacy could be lower against the strain from South Africa. The head of the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases in the U.S. expressed concerns about the delaying the administration of the second dose of the vaccine, as the UK has chosen to do so. Lee Seung-jae has more.
With concerns rising about new variants of COVID-19 and the currently available vaccines being ineffective against them, American pharmaceutical company Moderna announced on Monday that its vaccine created antibodies that neutralize the COVID-19 variants first discovered in the UK and South Africa. It said 2 doses of the vaccine are expected to be protective against emerging strains, adding the company's study showed the UK variant had no significant impact on the vaccine's effectiveness. However, the study on the vaccine's efficacy against the South African variant showed a 6-fold reduction in neutralizing the virus compared to other variants. Despite this, the company said its current vaccine is still expected to be effective. The UK variant has so far appeared in more than 45 countries, while the variant first discovered in South Africa has been reported in more than 20 countries. Moderna says it will test whether an additional booster dose could help protect against the emerging variants. Meanwhile, speaking at the virtual World Economic Forum on Monday, the head of the U.S. National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Fauci, expressed concerns about delaying administering the second dose of COVID-19 vaccines, as they have decided to do in some parts of the UK.
I could understand the reason why that is being done, but I would be concerned about that because you don't get full efficacy until you get that second dose. And if you allow suboptimal efficacy, you could actually immunologically select more for mutations when you do that. So that's the reason why, it may not be the case, but it gets risky. And that's the reason why we prefer to keep it on the time that the clinical trials said. For the two that are that we deal with in the United States, Moderna and Pfizer.
Moderna specifies that patients should receive a second dose 28 days after the first, while Pfizer recommends 21 days. In the UK, some people have had to wait as long as 12 weeks. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Different outcomes from COVID-19 vaccine rollouts show that putting together a sufficient vaccination plan is equally as important as securing vaccine doses. Our Choi Min-jung looks at how preparations in the U.S. and Israel impacted the respective vaccination results.
Disparities in the outcomes of COVID-19 vaccine rollouts indicate that putting together a plan for vaccination is just as important as securing doses for distribution. The United States, one of the first countries to start vaccinating its population against the COVID-19 virus, successfully distributed more than 41 million doses, but only half that number has been administered as of Saturday.
And I think what we're seeing is that there was certainly a plan for vaccine. There wasn't a plan for vaccination, and the two are different.
The country's health officials say it is crucial to secure a sufficient vaccine distribution infrastructure, including more vaccine centers, as well as educated vaccinators and other necessary personnel. Meanwhile, Israel is sprinting ahead with its vaccination drive, thanks to its high-tech medical system. The country's digitally stored health records allow medical experts to easily prioritize key groups and make contact with those who need to be invited for shots. According to the health ministry, around 28% of the entire population received the first doses of Pfizer's vaccine as of Friday.
We'll be, in 2 or 3 months, we'll be going back to normal economy, to normal sociology, to normal culture, to normal life.
South Korea has secured more than enough doses to vaccinate the entire population, but as the country's first rollout nears, health experts say providing education to medical institutions and personnel will be crucial. The South Korean government also aims to put a system in place allowing people to make reservations for their COVID-19 vaccines. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
The World Health Organization says vaccinating health workers worldwide is a bigger priority than Olympic athletes ahead of this year's Tokyo Olympics. Mike Ryan, the organization's top emergency expert, said when asked about inoculating competing athletes as priority that the reality is there's not even enough COVID-19 vaccines for healthcare workers. He added while the Global Health Organization is providing risk management advice to the International Olympic Committee and Japan for the upcoming event, the final decision on whether to hold the event is for the IOC and the Japanese government. Currently, the Tokyo Olympics is scheduled to start on July 23rd after being postponed for a year because of COVID-19. South Korea's GDP shrank by 1% in 2020 compared to the previous year. According to the Bank of Korea on Tuesday, this is the first time the nation's economy has seen an on-year contraction since it shrank 5.1% in 1998. Last year's on-quarter GDP shrank 1.3% in the first quarter and 3.2% in the second quarter. It then grew in the third and fourth quarters by 2.1% and 1.1% respectively. In the fourth quarter, exports did relatively well, mainly in semiconductors and chemical products, but private consumption was hit by the effects of the pandemic. President Moon Jae-in has reaffirmed South Korea's commitment to respond to climate change. In a video message to the online session of Climate Adaptation Summit hosted by the Netherlands on Monday, Moon said that South Korea has adopted specific roadmaps to respond.
한국은 지난해 다짐한 2050 탄소 중립을 향해 흔들림 없이 나아갈 것입니다. 일상 속에서 실천할 수 있는 작은 행동 규칙을 마련해 실천하고 사회 전 분야에 걸쳐 디지털 혁신과 결합한 그린 뉴딜을 추진하는 한편 그 경험과 성과를 세계 각국과 공유해 나갈 것입니다.
Moon also vowed to help developing countries by expanding training under a program jointly run by South Korea and the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. The president also asked for interest and active participation in the P4G summit, which Seoul will host in May. Now, just about an hour ago, the U.S. House of Representatives delivered the impeachment articles against former President Donald Trump to the Senate. However, with a growing number of Republican senators declaring opposition to the trial, the outcome is hard to call. Our Choi Jung-yoon tells us more.
9 House Democrats marched across the Capitol on Monday evening local time to hand in the articles of impeachment charging former President Donald Trump with incitement of insurrection. Jamie Raskin, a Democrat from Maryland and the lead impeachment manager, read the articles on the Senate floor that hold Trump accountable for his role in inciting the deadly assault on the Capitol on January 6th.
In all this, President Trump gravely endangered the security of the United States and its institutions of government. He threatened the integrity of the democratic system, interfered with the peaceful transition of power, and imperiled a co-equal branch of government.
This official act has formally advanced the Senate trial process, although the trial itself has been pushed back by 2 weeks. Usually, once a bill arrives at the Senate, a trial commences immediately. But both parties have agreed that the trial can begin on February 8th. The deal gives the Senate 2 weeks to focus on confirming President Joe Biden's cabinet nominees and work on the coronavirus relief package, while allowing Trump time to prepare his defense. With the articles delivered, the 100 senators will be sworn in as jurors for the proceedings, which will be presided over by Senator Patrick Leahy. For the impeachment to be passed, there must be a majority of at least 67 votes, which means in a 50-50 split Senate, 17 Republicans will have to agree. A steep climb given the continued allegiance to Trump among the Republican Party's conservative base of voters. This is Trump's second impeachment trial and the fourth presidential impeachment in U.S. history. Choi Jung-yoon, Arirang News.
South Korea saw its first baby panda birth in July to a couple from China's Sichuan province. At 14 kilograms, Fu Bao is finally big and strong enough to come out and greet her visitors. Kim Hyun-sing provides a closer look.
Meet Fu Bao, the first baby panda born in Korea. When she was born on July 20th last year, she only weighed 197 grams. But her birth caused quite a heavy stir, not just because of her unbearable cuteness, but also because of how rare the birth of a panda tends to be.
It's usually difficult for pandas to pair up. Some don't get along very well. And also, the gestation period for pandas is only 1 to 3 days per year. If a panda doesn't get pregnant during that period, it's very difficult to conceive at all.
Breeders and veterinarians put a lot of effort into setting up Fu Bao's parents, Lo Bao and Ai Bao, and finding out Ai Bao's gestation period. Now, they focus on nurturing the baby panda. In 6 months, baby Fu Bao has grown 70 times her birth weight and reached 14 kilograms. She's showing a healthy growth spurt and has hit all the baby panda's milestones, like flipping over and climbing stairs. And on January 4th, she was finally healthy enough to make a public debut. Since then, the baby panda has been gaining plenty of new fans.
판다를 처음 봐서 좋아요. 좋아요. 장난꾸러기인 것 같아요.
Her name, Fu Bao, means a treasure that brings happiness. And like her name, she certainly has brightened up visitors' faces.
Many people have had a tough time due to COVID. I really hope that this year our little Fu Bao can bring them happiness.
김현승, Arirang News.
Good morning. It's a rainy Tuesday. The capital region is seeing spotty rain, while rain clouds have been dropping heavier showers on Jeju and the south coast from the earlier hours. Rain will spread to the remaining southern parts of the country as the morning goes on today. So Jeju and the south coast will see 10 to 40 millimeters of rainfall throughout the day, while the rest of the southern regions will receive 5 to 20 millimeters of precipitation through late this afternoon. The capital region could see spotty rain, but we won't need a big umbrella. This morning's temperatures were nearly 12 degrees higher than season norms as yesterday's warmth stayed overnight, and it's going to be a mild one today too before Thursday's wintry mix brings another round of freezing air to the country by the end of the week. But this afternoon, highs will hover around 10 degrees Celsius in most parts of the country, while the west could see dust levels are rising tonight. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that's a wrap for us at the hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Maintaining good health is